I don't like the approach of tricking people into talking to you. I think it wastes time. I think people rely heavily on trinkets and gimmicks and all of these things, and people read through inauthenticity. And I don't think people want to be sold or tricked into setting an appointment with you. It also wastes the appointment setter's time talking to people who maybe they don't even own the home, maybe they don't need your product, maybe they're from another country, but you're too busy trying to compliment their shoes or trick them into getting to talk to you.
Hey, everybody, real quick, before we jump into today's episode, if you've been listening and getting value from these conversations, I'd love it if you'd subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps us spread the word and lets me keep bringing you more great guests like today's. So today's guest is Samantha McGuinness. Samantha, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
You are not a contractor.
I am not a contractor. I feel like I could be. I'm not a contractor,
You
though.
probably could be. Yeah. But your superpower is making leads.
Yes.
Out of thin air, out of nothing. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Exactly.
Because leads are, back at the forefront again. There was a while there where we were not talking about leads as much. We were talking about how to keep up with all of the sales and how to get materials and how to produce the jobs and how to make money. And now that COVID is long gone, we are back to the roots of this business, which is going out and making leads. We've been talking a lot about make marketing here over the last few episodes. And so you are a master at making leads. And so I thought this would be a really good conversation to have. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. With my company, our whole slogan is that at our best, we're always creating. And so we really try to live that. Like, we should always be creating our own opportunities. It's great to have a strong marketing mix and, leverage every tool that we have, but we should always be able to create our own opportunities. And I think that's what really, it's the, what keeps companies elite when you're able to do that.
Yeah, I like that. Keeps companies elite. And, the best in the business, the best in our industry know how to start a day with 0 leads and go out and make all the leads they need to make in order to keep their salespeople going and hit their numbers. And so that's what we are going to be talking about. But you have a great background. I don't usually, it's funny, I'm starting to broaden my thinking a little bit on the Wealthy Contractor podcast, is where I have historically, we just bring on contractors and we ask them, hey, what are you doing? What's made you successful? What have you learned? But now more and more, I want to also introduce people that are kind of working behind the scenes. They're doing really, really great work with top clients. And so that is where you fit in. But give everybody, before we get into the real meat of our conversation today, give everybody your background. Where did you come from? Why are you qualified to be here, talk to contractors, help contractors? Who are you?
I don't love talking about myself, disclaimer, but I think the people need to know who is speaking to them. So
I don't like it either, but we have to do it every single time.
Yeah. So, my first sort of stint at face-to-face marketing was my ex actually had a landscape construction company back in Toronto, and I started helping him build it. And, we came from very humble beginnings, and we were definitely at the time just starting to get into SEO and direct mail campaigns. We were doing handwritten letters with pennies in the envelope and all that stuff. And
I love it. Oh, that's like old
15,
school. I love it.
It was like, who taught us? Dan Kennedy, I think.
Dan Kennedy. Yeah, my mentor.
Yeah. So we learned a lot of Dan Kennedy stuff. And, what actually got us our best contracts was when I would jump in one of the trucks, like one of our pickup trucks and go to property management companies or go to big commercial sites and just go and introduce ourselves. We prepped, a pamphlet. This is who we are. This is what we do. Snow clearing. We're in Toronto, landscape construction, all that good stuff, and introduce the companies. Hey, we want to submit a bid. And just going in person and being somebody who could, compliment the receptionist and have social skills and empathy. I think that stuff goes so much farther than people give it credit for, right? When you're able to actually connect with a person one-on-one, like what we're doing right now, I think that's what really sets companies apart, especially now. So that worked 15 years ago when people actually had a lot more social interaction, right? Than they do now. People are way more isolated in 2025 than they were in 2010, right? And so, that worked. And then I also did a marketing management role after that with a basement renovation company in Canada. I did all their home shows and events. And then sort of my claim to fame, which was when I built the event shows, home show, retail department for Renewal by Andersen of Greater Toronto. And with that role, it was a startup situation. So there were no walls in the office. There was no revenue. There was no people in Canada didn't even know Andersen, right? And so there was a lot of things that worked against us building that company and especially the face-to-face marketing, but we crushed it. And, I think the first 3 years I had them doing over 10 million in revenue, cost of marketing of sub 10%, had a team of about 30 part-time appointment setters that worked for me, team leaders, admins, and all that good stuff. And 2019, we won Events Team of the Year, which was really great. I think there's 115 locations. And so, the really cool thing about working there was we could connect with other marketing directors, right? We could call, or I would visit the San Francisco office, New Jersey, and Indiana, and go all over the place and learn from them and then tweak it and build my own systems. I think I'm pretty system driven. I kind of think I take marketing and I engineer it. So I don't like doing the same thing over and over again. I think it's a waste of this beautiful life God gave us, So, those are really great opportunities, a lot of challenges, and I made a ton of mistakes. And now I help companies not make those same mistakes or waste time, with their face-to-face marketing. So I was hired by somebody at the time who was a non-traditional marketing director under Moore Holdings. Okay. And so they hired me and, they dissed me. They almost didn't hire me because they dissed me, and full transparency.
That would have been a big mistake.
Thank you. Yeah. I agree. They said that after the fact too, but you know what? It's my mistake because I rigged my disc profile. So here's the thing.
Oh, I forgot about this. Okay, we have to talk about this. Keep going. You tell us about rigging the disc profile. I love this story.
So it makes me appear dishonest, but I really wanted the job, to be quite honest with you. So the thing about disc profiles is the way that you present it to a candidate, it's very sensitive. So you need to be very deliberate in your instructions when you're issuing the disc profile. It's also the best to have the candidate do the profile in front of you and you waiting for them. So they need to know there's a time limit. They need to know, especially, as a woman, like, answer the questions true to who you are when it comes to work, not to your personal life, right? So, if I am with, my husband or something like that, it's probably a different situation than if I'm leading a company to drive hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So if I'm with my dog or my child or volunteering at the Humane Society, it's a different person than a business, right? And so as a woman, I think we wear these sort of different hats. That's my disclaimer. But, I wasn't necessarily given those instructions. And so when I saw words on the disc profile, like, are you more aggressive or patient? I'm like, people want me to be patient, and my boyfriend at the time was like, you're too aggressive. So I was like, I didn't want to select aggressive on the profile, right? And being self-aware, I think, actually David Yoho and I talk about this as well. He's like, you're so self-aware that you know how to tweak the things that are not favorable, right? And so they almost didn't hire me because my D on the disc profile, so my level of dominance was low, which is not accurate in business at all. Like I'm super hyper results oriented. I've been profiled a few times after that, and my profile is results oriented. My D is high, my I is high, my S and C are lower. And it worked against me because they don't want somebody with a low D. They want somebody with my actual profile, right? So full disclaimer, I'm a terrible, if I ever lied, you would know. Like I'm not a liar, but on something like that, I'm like, okay, I can like, it's like putting together a marketing campaign. You're going to emphasize the good and not exactly say, by the way, our company is not good at this or something like that, right? But so they wanted actually how I am, but I masked that because I'm so self-aware of those qualities and was really trying to actually work on them at the time. And so, yeah, I almost didn't get the role. And then they did end up hiring me. They shipped me right to San Francisco for a week and then right from San Francisco to New Jersey. And I got to spend time in those two offices. Those two offices were really, really great locations, great people over there as well. And I got to learn a lot and then start building from scratch in Toronto.
Nice. Okay. So you're hired, you come in, and you are in charge of events marketing, face-to-face marketing, which now we're actually going to talk about how you make leads out of thin air. And for some people, it's going to turn them off because it's like, well, what do I have to do? I got to go knock on doors. I got to go set up at a candle show or a wedding show, not just the home show. I've got to, go to retail locations and set up. And I'm here to tell you that if you really want to make it in this business, yes, you absolutely have to do those things. So like that is the deal with this business. Historically, that's how people have built good companies. Absolutely. Is by going out and making leads and not waiting for somebody else to make a lead for you or to, put an ad out or to put a direct mailer out, which you have to do all of those things as well. But if you want any measure of control over your business, you've got to be able to go out and make leads out of nothing.
Absolutely.
And that's what you are an absolute master at. You did it over there. You built a $10 million in revenue. I mean, that's incredible. Just with that. And that was just the make marketing part. There was a whole bunch of other stuff. Another department that made leads in all the other conventional ways. So talk a little bit about, they hire you, you come in, you go to training, at other stores and you learn kind of what they're doing. You go back and then what do? You start building a team?
Look, if I can be so transparent, I didn't like a lot of what I saw. I felt like there were a lot of things that could have been done differently and through better systems.
What didn't you like?
I still don't like the approach of tricking people into talking to you. I think it wastes time. I think people rely heavily on trinkets and gimmicks and all of these things, and people read through inauthenticity. And I don't think people want to be sold or tricked into setting an appointment with you. It also wastes the appointment setter's time talking to people who maybe they don't even own the home. Maybe they don't need your product, right? Maybe they're from another country. They're not even in your territory, but you're too busy trying to compliment their shoes or trick them into getting to talk to you. So I didn't like that. I still don't. It's actually one of the things that we coach our clients on now is go right to the point. Ask them, how old are your windows and doors? How old is your bathroom? What's going on with your roof? What sort of issues are you having? We want to qualify really early on because when you are at an event or a home show, time is working against you. You only, like in life, right? And in business, like we're not ever getting younger. And so with the way that we coach now is it's the same way that I coached when I was at RBA, and it's right to the point and in qualifying early, because then that way, if the person you're speaking to doesn't need what you have, let's not waste their time and let's not waste our time. The biggest expense when it comes to events, home shows, retail stores, canvassing, every type of face-to-face marketing you can think of are your staff wages. So what you're paying your teams, your expenses are going to be higher in that bucket than they will be in your show rent, right? And I've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for one booth before, right? So if you can, we're doing $1 million in revenue from that one booth, but that's another point.
Yeah.
And so I think, people, I still see this all the time. People do this all wrong. Right? And that's one of the things I didn't like when I was going around with something like that, or not being aggressive enough, or kind of waiting for people to go up to you. It doesn't work like that.
I really like how you don't like what you call trinkets. So what are trinkets?
Oh, this is the most controversial thing. When
Yeah,
I'm on a
I know.
stage
Yeah,
or when I'm talking to people, people really want to lean on those things.
yeah.
Something like throwing something in the crowd that seems exciting, or a dunk tank, like line up here to dunk the owner of the company, and then we're talking to them about their home solutions while they're in the line. I'm like, I don't know if that's just not how we do things, and that's not how we drive revenue. Personally,
Yeah.
I've never done that, and we will, a better job than.
Are trinkets like the crap that people have on the tables that
Yes.
people come by and pick up and throw in their bag?
Yes.
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, a lot of the time when I'm speaking at these conferences too, I'm kind of gauging whether or not the sponsors are in the room, because I don't want to insult them. But I tell everybody, like, the brochures, the pens, all of the stuff that you have on your table, it's just a cop out. It's a reason for somebody to not set the appointment. Your phone number on your display is a reason for somebody to not set the appointment. A QR code, I know everybody wants to use a QR code. It's 2025. They think that that's efficient. And in some ways it is. When it comes to having a booth set up that you're paying a lot of money to be there for, you need to set appointments. You don't need people scanning your QR code like they're doing with every other company at the show and maybe calling you later. You're giving away all of your control like that. And you're also missing out on the whole opportunity to set yourself apart by letting companies know who you are, and like that you're humans and you have this great team working for you that's empathetic and cares about their, the lack of hurricane proof windows that you have, or your roof that may be leaking, or your child's bedroom, bathroom that's got like mold in it. Like, these are things, this is why this stuff works so well, is the ability to connect with people. And people really use these things as a cop out for doing the hard work that actually drives the results.
So you didn't like that stuff. So you go back to Toronto, and
so while I was actually still traveling, I was already putting ads out on Indeed to build my team. And I was like calling people. I didn't realize how significant that was, because I think they were like, oh, go check out this place in San Francisco, or go on your free time, go here. And I was like trying to build my team from being in America, right? Because I wanted to go. Like, I wanted to, look, I come from very humble beginnings. I'm grateful for an opportunity, and I always have been and I always will be. So for me, I'm like, these people are shipping me to another country and trusting me to build this department. I need to do a great job. So I, came back to Toronto, started, getting into shows. I was even applying for shows while I was in the hotel rooms when I was traveling. And so, interviewing my team, I didn't even have access to a methodology to set an appointment at the time. I kind of just created my own, and started failing a lot, because that's how you start to get great, right? Is make some mistakes. So, I didn't know how to retain a team of part-time people. That's a really tough thing about this role is getting the number of part-time appointment setters that you need to run your events team and last, right? We don't want to hire people who are looking for like a gig opportunity. And that's what you get in a lot of these situations if you do it the wrong way. So as I started to really grow and bump my head and have to deal with the repercussions of not doing things right, is when I learned I need to build systems around these mistakes that I'm making, so that I don't have to keep going through this stress every day, or at least every weekend. Like people calling out, somebody saying, I'm not comfortable driving on the highway to get from, you may not know this distance range, but like, Durham region to Niagara Falls, that's about an hour and 45 minutes on a highway, on a freeway. And, I found out last minute, the person I hired isn't comfortable driving on the freeway. And that's something that I learned to build into my pre-screen questions when I'm interviewing. So, over time and just really going through a lot of stress, I got to build a really cool department that was very efficient and profitable.
And now for the last few years, what you do is now you take your system and you essentially go and install it and train companies on how to do this the right way, how to do event marketing and face-to-face marketing the right way. So let's define make marketing. We've kind of talked about it here, but let's just kind of make sure that everybody understands what are the things that we're talking about.
Our areas of specialty are events. When we're thinking events, it's like you had said candle show, Brian, you're good.
Yeah.
You know, I've done $100,000 from a peach festival,
Yeah.
right? I've done $100,000 from a farmer's market, a 1-day farmer's market that costs $100 to get into, or sometimes they're free, right? And so these are non-traditional events. So that's the main bucket. And in fact, that's where most of your revenue will come from, depending on your territory and how many shows you have in territory, right? Then there's home shows, which most companies, most home remodeling companies still are doing home shows. Most of them are not doing it the right way though, at all. That's where people are really messing up, in my opinion, are with the home shows. And just from what I see all the time going to events. And then there's also retail store partnerships. So think Ace Hardwares, grocery stores, Home Depots. You know, I have a client that does $1 million a month from Costco stores, right?
Mhm.
And from one Costco store. And, you know, so Costco's a little harder to get into, of course, right? My younger sister is a marketing director at Costco and she can't even do anything for me,
She
believe it
can't
or
help.
not.
Yeah.
No, I tried to pay her.
Yeah.
It's not
We
happening.
have a few clients that are in the Costco program now. And yeah, one in particular is just really killing it. What about canvassing?
I've never built a canvassing team myself.
Yeah.
So I
So this
actually
is
don't
even
teach.
separate from canvassing.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, the thing with our systems though, is because we're not just teaching people, like we're teaching people systems and company systems that they own, right? So they don't need us forever, right? My goal is not to have people need me. My goal is to really help people. And so we teach them systems on how to hire their team. We give them, you know, all of their interview questions. We have SOPs for disking, compensation, your training schedule, your, you know, everything to do with this department. And so a lot of our clients actually take our systems and apply it to canvassing as well.
So when we're talking about retail stores, we're talking about shows and events as obscure as a peach festival, because a lot of people don't think outside of the box. They think, well, there's 3 big home shows a year and we do those.
Yeah.
Okay, but every weekend there's something going on. Like you're one of your top clients. How many shows do they do a year? Just ballpark.
So I can't say. I'll tell you when I was at RBA, I had them in over 300 events a year.
300 events a year. Okay, that's like one almost every day. But what it is you have multiple events going on over the weekends.
Correct. I remember weekends I would have 14. I've had 14 events happening on one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess one question is, so there's a bunch of places we could go with this. Let's start with, how do you find the shows? How do you find these obscure shows?
Great question. So when we're coaching, we coach the managers one-on-one, right? We're happy to have call center managers on the calls, owners, we want everybody on the call, but we're, you know, giving the sauce to the manager because we're their support, right? And one of the things that we let everybody know, especially if we actually do recruit for these positions as well, because we know exactly what to look for when it comes to your face-to-face marketing manager, right? And one of the things that we really try to highlight to people is an event manager's role. About 40% of that is finding and getting into shows. Okay. Cause it can be quite tedious. Now, there's so many different online resources to use. One of the ways that the best way for people to start is to literally go to their best towns. So where they're selling the most in terms of close rate with the largest job sizes, and go to those areas and Google search events, shows in those areas. That's the best way to start. And once you start doing that, you're actually going to go down like a rabbit hole where you're going to notice there's particular venues or conference centers or parks that have other events because they have their own websites that promote other events. So you're going to go find those shows, right? And then we also teach companies how to actually get events sent to them from other producers. So passively having people send you events and refer events to you. And then also having your team send you events. So think about it like this. Your installers and your salespeople are where you are already selling jobs. And they're on the road. When they see a lawn sign for an event that maybe isn't advertised online, which is really common, by the way. And I found some hidden gems that are 50-year-old shows that have no website. There's no online presence for these events. It's just it's tradition for people to go to these, and they're busy events and they're cheap to do. like $100 show, super busy, been going on for 50 years. They don't have a website. They want you to come in with a check when you show up. That's how they take payment. They don't even take a, prepayment or a credit card. And so, we definitely encourage our clients to, and this is one thing a system I built when I was at Renewal, was to actually pay people to send you events. So your events team, your sales team, your admin team, everybody in the company should be invested in your events and show department. And the reason why is, guess what? If you don't have any leads, nobody has a job. Like, not to sound mean, but like, if we don't have revenue, we don't have employment. There's no company. So everybody should care. And we're not doing this.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I hope everybody got that. Like, go back 30 seconds and listen to what she said again. That's the same thing with like having everybody be profit focused, have everybody really invested in the future and the success of the business. And one of the ways to do that is to be on the lookout for places where we can go and get leads. And I love that you said that. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
Pay them to do it also, right?
Yeah.
So a small bonus, like
Incentivize
it's a $25 gift card for anybody that finds an event that we go and we actually participate in, right? Because we're not paying for ideas. We're not paying for stuff that's not going to drive revenue. We're paying for the result that we want, right? Which is getting into a show. And so, I think that's it's a really great way that's worked for me and it works for my clients. I always, that's something we coach their managers on, is get people to work for you. You want to scale your department up. And not only does it help you find more events when you integrate the rest of the company into the department, but you know what it does that a lot of people don't think about? It keeps everybody, not rolling their eyes at the department. Because I've been there where the events team can be a little bit, there's a lot of moving pieces. You have displays, right? You have people coming and going from the office. There's a lot to it, right? You have the phones ringing. Maybe a tent broke. There's all types of stuff that happens, okay? But if people know, hey, this department is extremely profitable and it drives a huge portion of our revenue, we need to show it some respect. The other thing, just to not go too deep into this, is when your sales team is invested into your events department, and I don't mean have them staff your booth. Please don't do that. You're going to burn your leads. But when they are invested into the department, it's going to help them sell more. They're going to cherish the lead more, right? So your sales rep should also know what goes into setting an appointment without them actually doing it. Again, please don't put your salespeople in a booth ever. But they should know what it takes to set an appointment, because then they're going to be more likely to close it, right? And they're more likely to even care if they're like, hey, this is what's going on the events team. This person just hit this milestone. We just won this. We're doing all these wonderful things. We need to keep people in the loop as to what's going on with the department. Otherwise, it can be very siloed. Yeah,
cool. So we find the shows. Now we have to go and work the show. So I'm going to leave people for last, because that's the critical piece of this, but I'm going to leave that for last. So we have a show. What are some best practices? I mean, you named off a few. Do not let your salespeople go and work a show. Big mistake. And no trinkets. So that's also something. So I hope that, my wife's, one of my wife's BFFs has a big, I want to call it a trinket company, but what is it? Promotional product company.
Okay.
And we were talking the other day about how all of the shit that she sells basically gets thrown away. I
hope she's not listening.
Oh, yeah, but she knows. She's smart.
Okay.
She has a hell of a company too. Anyway, so when you say trinkets, so we're talking like pens, we're talking what? Like what's the stupid crap that people put on the tables that they should not be? Well, what should the table have on it?
Here's the thing. I can set an appointment with nothing. I can set an appointment with no booth, no display, no product. All I need is either but the way we train, they all can too.
Okay.
Right? So people would just rely on this stuff too much.
By the way.
Like, it's not me. It's what we're saying in a way of doing things. It's a system, right? And so, people are using things like keychains. One thing that I actually find so useful, this has nothing to do with this, but the measuring tapes, those little mini measuring tapes. I've actually used those in real
Okay.
life, and I'm like, go to measure something, but I'm not calling the company I don't even know the company who's on it. Like, I have no clue. I just I think it's a really useful tool, right?
So wait, so you are saying that you could have a measuring tape
No,
or give
don't do
away
it.
measuring tapes, or you're
Don't
saying
do
just
it.
have one
It's
yourself?
not going to do anything for you.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not going to do anything for you as a means to justify staffing a booth, paying for a booth, investing into all of this. The juice is not worth the squeeze.
Okay. So what is the booth then? What's on the table?
Another controversial thing is we do not give away brochures. My clients do not give away brochures. That, again, does nothing for you. You can have some visuals of your product, right? But the interesting thing is when people come up to us, here's a little gem. When people come up and they ask for a brochure, oh, I'll just take a brochure. Hey, we actually don't give away brochures. We're a green company. We try to be as mindful of the environment as we can. But what's going on with your product? And open up the conversation, right? So brochures can be on the table depending on the product or the service, a handheld sample, if it's a window or some, hardware samples and things like that can be on the table, but we're not like nothing else. You don't need anything else on your table. You don't even need a table.
What about backdrop?
So a backdrop it depends on the company. I like a backdrop to showcase the product, right? It does need to be branded, no phone numbers, no QR code. No
I
websites.
find that I didn't even think about that, but that's really smart.
Thank you.
Doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's so counterintuitive.
Yes.
But when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense.
It's all you're going to do is people are going to walk by and take a picture of that and walk away.
And it gets lost in their phone.
And how are you even going to overcome that as an objection?
Yeah.
You don't. They're already gone. Right. So we're there to engage with people. We're there to stop people and qualify them and then help them. And we're not there to talk about our product or brag about how long we've been in business or yap in people's faces, which we selfishly want to do. And a reason why we don't want an owner at a booth a lot of the time too, because they love their company. They love their product. They know how great it is. We're not there to do that to people. We're not there to sell people. We're there to help them with a free in-home consultation.
Yeah.
That's it. So you had mentioned, what should not be at the booth? I just have to say another thing that should not be at the booth, Brian, are business cards. I mystery shop people often and I get business cards sometimes, and that's a cop out. So people will come up and they'll ask for a business card. We have, rebuttals. That's an objection. We have a rebuttal for that in our scripting and methodology that we give to our clients, right? We don't give out business cards. We don't even have business cards at the booth.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, so we've talked about how to find shows. We've talked about setup of the show and what some do's and don'ts. And obviously, there's a lot more to this. But the stuff that she's giving you here is gold. I mean, even if you just take some of these ideas and just put it into what you're doing right now, you're going to get better results.
100%.
Let's talk about the hardest part of this is people.
Yes.
So let's talk about first off, this is not a full-time job, right?
Correct. Unless you're doing retail or canvassing, a lot of the time, those can be full-time opportunities, but that's a lot easier. So let's just stick to the hardest part because people can learn from that and then they don't need to do the unnecessary things when it comes to the full-time position. So, I think that is the hardest part about this role is the fact that you want somebody who's part-time but has like a full-time commitment, right? And is available every weekends. People don't want to work weekends for the most part. So what people need to do is find who's looking for them. So, a lot of the time when we go to work with a company, they've been trained at another home remodeling company on this stuff before. So we actually help recruit managers, like I had said earlier, and we also train existing managers, and we have to break a lot of bad habits. Okay. And so one of the biggest habits that we have to break is just putting people because we need them, right? When we need people, we just want to hire people, but that is going to come back to you later on. I've been there. I've done it. Just don't do it, right? So if somebody isn't specifically looking for a part-time role, do not hire them. Most people who apply for a job, even if you advertise it on Indeed or some other platform as being part-time, most people really want a full-time role and they want to take something temporary until they get to their next full-time opportunity. So like, why are you going to be their stepping stone and invest into training them? And by the time they're trained, which is about a month in, they're gone. So we're not doing that. That's not good business, right? So we're really we super overqualify on our job ads, our job title. We don't put, this might ruffle some feathers, but I kind of do that from time to time. We're not using the word brand ambassador. There's not a brand ambassador. That's not what this is. This is a part-time salesperson that you're looking for, right? And so that's oftentimes our job title, part-time sales, part-time weekend sales, right? Like go right to the point. I think people really overthink their job titles. Like even when it comes to their manager role, they call it, what are some titles, even like event manager is not that. It's not this. You're going to get an event coordinator. You're going to get somebody who's planned events before. That is not a sales manager. And that's your event manager, is a sales and marketing management type leader person, right? When you are in the field setting appointments, you're selling the value of a free in-home consultation. You are not an appointment setter, right? You're not like an event coordinator or a brand ambassador. These are like terms that are widely used, but they're not results focused. So when we're looking for people, we're really lasered in on who's good at this role. People who are really good at setting appointments. I've seen so many different types of people. I've hired attorneys to work for me part-time, killed it. I've hired nurses. Actors tend to do a really great job. A role I would advise people stay away from are real estate agents. No offense. I understand real estate very well. I have a real estate background, especially in commercial real estate and lending. I highly recommend not hiring a real estate agent because once they get a showing and that's like a $25,000 commission, they're not going to show up to your little peach festival.
Yeah.
Right. So we stay away from that role, for the most part. I mean, it might be somebody who's excellent,
Makes sense.
but
it makes a lot of sense. The actor thing, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. They kill it.
Act like a salesperson. You don't have to
even
be
if
one.
You're not.
Just if you're a good actor, just act like one. And here, we'll show you how to do it.
Yeah, well, think about it. What we do is so heavily scripted, right? Like it's heavily scripted.
And it is a performance.
100% is. Setting the appointment, everything.
Yeah.
Yep. Selecting the date and time for the actual appointment, that matters too. We don't want to set appointments 2 weeks out. That's not even going to issue if you set that, right? So we rely heavily on our scripts and the systems that work and not deviating from them. Every time people deviate from the system and the script, it doesn't go well. And they always see why. So actors tend to be really good at following the script and having personality and being outgoing and exciting. Like nobody wants to talk to somebody who's boring, right? I don't want to talk to a boring person. I don't know about you, Brian, but if you're at a show and someone's like, hi, like just dull, like, ugh, I don't want to be around that kind of energy, right? So we hire people who are outgoing, energetic, can stand all day, can physically lift things, right? Can drive, have a car.
That's funny. I was going to say they have to be able to stand all day because obviously you ain't having them sit down. There aren't even chairs in the booth, right? That was one thing that we did not say is no chairs in the booth.
No chairs ever. I don't know how we missed that. My bad.
I know.
But, we both
I've gone. It.
Yeah. I've gone to my own shows before, like where I have, when I pop up on my teams and stuff like that, and there might be chairs in the booth. They're not sitting, but sometimes a producer will actually provide the chair and the table setup, and I'm taking it out of the booth right away. Like I'm moving it down the hall, I'm leaving it on somewhere else. We're not doing chairs. No eating in the booth. It's not professional. No jeans. Like we need to represent the company well. I don't care if other people are wearing jeans. My clients, we're not wearing jeans. We're, ultimate professionalism. So,
you know what I immediately thought of is when we do Accelerate and we set up all the booths for the sponsors, we put chairs in the booth.
No more chairs.
And nothing, I shouldn't say nothing. And hopefully none of the sponsors that may be listening will take this the wrong way. But you and I have this, this little problem where we tell the truth, but you just made me think about that because it so annoys me when I walk by and they're sitting in their booth.
Yeah.
They're eating in their booth. They're on their computer in their booth. It's like, that's not what you are here for. You're here to focus on the attendees at this event. And so I'm going to talk to Addie about maybe not providing chairs, but the backlash that we would
They're
get.
going to hate me.
Yeah.
I'm friends with a lot of the sponsors, by the way.
I'll blame it on you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to get a million texts. I pretty much know them, all of the
I'll
sponsors,
blame it
right?
on you.
Yeah.
Because you don't know this yet, but somehow you are going to be involved in Accelerate in February, which will be our 10th Accelerate. We're working on it now.
10
It is
years.
it's going to be pretty awesome. It is going to be our biggest, baddest event. Last year was our biggest, baddest event. It was pretty awesome. But I shouldn't say last year. It was this year. It was just a few months ago.
It feels like a year ago.
We're already working. We're already like deep into planning for February. And it's going to be a pretty awesome event. And somehow you're going to be involved.
Well, it's about time because, and so thank you for that. I'm excited. But now let me go into the scolding part. I had so many people like, why aren't you at Accelerate? Why aren't you at Accelerate? And so, but this 2026 Accelerate 10 years is great. And Brian, I got to say too, I've been to many conferences and attendance for most of them is dwindling. So the fact that you guys are growing every year is really good. So great job.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah. So we'll see. Well, we'll see. We'll see if people show up. You never know.
I think they're going to show up.
Know. I'll tell you, we never know until people start checking in. We really don't.
People do things very last minute. So I'll tell the listeners, I'm going to be there. You better be at Accelerate.
I know you better be there.
Right.
Okay. So we talked about how to find these shows. We talked about how to set up the booth properly, what not to have there, what to have there. We talked about the people some. There's so much more. I mean, we could probably talk. Well, you did a full day presentation for some of our Success Society members where you laid out the system, the whole system, boo, boo, boo. If people want to learn more about the system, where do they go? What's your website?
Face-to-face marketingnetwork.com.
Oh my God, that's like the longest URL.
We have a couple different websites. So my company's called Enabled, and they can go to enabledremodeler.com.
Okay.
What we're more focused on right now is helping more companies. So we built a membership program where folks actually get access to online learning systems, SOPs, templates, spreadsheets, budget trackers, scripts, like everything that you would need to know to build, scale, or grow a department like this is through our membership program, which is called the Face-to-Face Marketing Network. So the long name, but it describes what it is.
We'll definitely put it in the show notes because I think you are one of the most important resources in the home improvement industry. Because again, like we are going all the way back to the beginning, if you are not out there doing make marketing, it's going to get tougher and tougher for you to make enough leads for you to really grow and grow your business. And that's serious, and it's so much easier to just place an ad and forget it and hope it works. It's so much easier to hire an internet marketing company and just say, okay, here's whatever, X $1,000 a month, make my phone ring. It's so much easier to sign up with an aggregator and just say, okay, send me leads every day. But those things, and they all need to be a part of the mix. But to really control your business, to really control its growth and its ability to produce the number of leads that you need every day, you've got to be doing make marketing, shows and events, retail stores. I know we've said that a number of times, and I'm kind of doing that on purpose just because a lot of the people listening don't want to do it. It in a lot of ways, it's ugly because it's so labor intensive. And I'm so opposed to labor intensive stuff, but we all have to do it.
Yeah.
We all have to do it.
You put in the work on the front end and then you are blessed in the back end, right? And so like you can give away all control and throw some money at stuff, but I say this all the time, the most successful people I know practice delayed gratification. So they're willing, and I've done this, put your head down. Look, when I was at RBA, I didn't take a day off for 3 years. And I'm talking like not a day off. Like, and it wasn't them forcing me to do that. I just knew that in order to build things the way I wanted it to build and to scale and to grow and to actually make money, then I needed to put my head down for some time. And, that's the thing about events, home shows, retail. It is labor intensive. It's a lot of people that are involved. And so people do, make things a little bit more complicated than technology sometimes, but it pays off in the long run. And that's why we built what we have now, the face-based marketing network, is so companies can just plug and play our systems. It's so much easier than just doing it from the ground up. So there's no excuse anymore, I think.
Well, this has been great, Samantha. I'm so glad that we were able to finally do this. Again, I think you are a really important resource for the industry, and I would encourage everybody to go to face-to-face-marketing-network.com. I make no money on this, by the way, but I want to bring you guys resources, great resources. And again, I think Samantha's fantastic. Cool. So, what's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten or given?
Oh my gosh, this is a big question.
That's why I get paid the big bucks.
Yeah, apparently. This is a big question. I think this is maybe not business, but just to be 100% authentically yourself. Because I think you save a lot of time that way, maybe having misaligned situations or opportunities, just to be 100% yourself. And
what is that? Okay, so sorry, but I got to keep going. What does that mean? How do I know what my authentic self is? I love the answer, by the way. I just want to know, how do I know my authentic self? How do I get there?
I think you got to spend some time alone and go through some stuff. I think people really find out who they are when they go through difficult times or challenges and see how they respond, maybe make some mistakes, maybe learn what felt good and what didn't to them, and then stay true to what does, right? So one of the things that I think is what keeps me very peaceful is I don't care what other people are doing. Like I'm myself. And I think that allows you to show up for the people that need you and for the world, and, not look right to left. It's interesting. People will sometimes ask me like, oh, so is this person your competitor? And I'm like, I don't have a competitor, and neither do they. Like, I don't even believe in that. If I was worried about that, I would be doing such a disservice to the people who need me. I would be following behind somebody else. It's not what we do. At our best, we're always creating. In order to create, you need to know who you are and what you have to give, right? And so I think that, I know this isn't supposed to be me preaching, but I think that when it comes to business, that is a competitive edge, even though I don't believe in competition, is to just be authentically yourself. I'm not worried about what other people are doing. I don't care. It's not my business.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so good. I was at a conference this weekend or conference, seminar, workshop, I don't know, seminar.
It's all the same.
Whatever.
At this point. Yeah.
It was with my coach, David Nagel. And David said that there are 3 voices inside of us. There is the voice of other people.
Mm-hmm.
There's the voice of the critic, the inner critic. And then there's the voice of God, or whatever, you could call that your authentic self,
Yeah. Who God made you to be. Yeah.
Yeah. And the question is, who are you listening to? When you have an idea, when you have a thought, when you want to do something, which voice shows up and which one do you end up listening to? And a lot of time we listen to the 2 voices that'll take us down the wrong path.
Right.
The critic and the voice of others,
Mm-hmm.
and finding that authentic voice, for lack of a better way of saying it, the voice of God. That's the voice that always wants you to be yourself, that wants you to be successful and worthy and deserving of success and wealth and freedom and love and whatever it is that you're after. And so I love that answer. That's really good. Cool.
Yeah, I think the most liberating people are people who are 100% themselves.
For
Makes
sure.
everybody more comfortable. Sure. Like, we don't need to all be the same. It's weird.
And what's interesting is the people that you and I get to hang out with. Like, remember the dinner that we had at that event?
I do
Every
remember the
single
dinner.
person at that table was themselves, was like, all cool. No, no listening. Nobody at that table was listening to other people's voices or the critic. They were just authentically themselves, and they're, pretty cool because of it.
Yeah, I think when you're secure with yourself, you're able to show up as you. And sometimes maybe people who, haven't felt like they've made it yet, they feel like they have to blend in. And I think it actually works against them doing that, modifying who you are. I don't think it works.
Yeah. And look, and we've all been there. Oh, good
100%.
Lord knows I've been there. I mean,
me too.
And I still battle. I still got to battle it. But it's a battle worth fighting, because you end up with a life you love.
Yeah. And that's what we're doing it for, right? I don't want to, you couldn't pay me enough to not be at peace with who I am. So, yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, Samantha, thank you again. And everybody listening, hope this was of value to you. Again, as I requested at the beginning, if you are finding value from the Wealthy Contractor podcast, please let us know. Post a review wherever you listen, because that helps other people find the show, and subscribe to the show, because that kind of lets us know on our end, hey, there's actually people interested, and it keeps us going. And we also want to know what guests you want to hear from, or what topics you want to hear from. So let us know. We're open. This is your show, and it's not about me. I've always said that from the very first episode, from day one. This has nothing to do with me. It's everything to do with you guys. So let us know. Give us your feedback. And until next time, this is Brian Kaskavalcian, and this is the Wealthy Contractor Podcast.